Welcome everyone, and thank you for tuning in to hear my trading and market updates. This is Uncle Frank, and I'm not a financial advisor, nor is any of the content to be construed as financial advice. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. Please remember to hit the like button if you enjoyed the presentation, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you're alerted when I have new information to share. So now let's get into the latest updates. Hey, welcome back everyone. The pressure is building before the court decision in Delaware. Let's start it out with a headline from Deadline. Barbie has best ticket pre-sales since Avatar: The Way of Water. But the theaters are dead, right? And it must have killed CNBC to print this one. Barbenheimer opening weekend could top 200 million, a jolt for Hollywood's soft box office. Barbie is expected to tally upwards of 140 million in ticket sales, and Oppenheimer set to grab as much as 60 million. And from the Catholic News Agency, headline, Sound of Freedom makes history at the box office. Did you think you'd get that headline from the mainstream media? From the article, Sound of Freedom, an anti-human trafficking film, continues to top the box office charts. The film currently sits behind the new Mission Impossible at the number 2 spot on the box office charts, beating out other expected summer hits according to Box Office Mojo. AMC finished the day at $4.37, up 1.39%. The Ape at $1.89, up 2.72%, bringing the combined price of ANC and Ape to $6.25, up 1.63% on 23.4 million shares traded. Now, based on that last price of $4.37, be expecting support to the downside at levels $4.30, $4.23, and $4.18. To the upside, expect resistance at points $4.42, $4.47, and $4.54. According to Frank Nez and Ortex, AMC's short squeeze score has now jumped to 96. Today's off-exchange and dark pool volume was over 11 million shares, which is 55.25% of the day's total volume, which means only 8% of AMC trades were executed on the exchange that we're listed on. That brings our 30-day average up to 52.45%. And the cost to borrow fee? At the time of this recording, I see 4,000 shares available at a fee of 1,053.34%. That seems expensive. And it turns out that it is expensive. AMC is officially number 1 out of 7,700 companies with our current cost to borrow. And at the time of this recording, with a closing price of $4.32 for AMC, I've got Max Payne at 6. I have a put-call ratio of 1.65. Woo! The put holders on AMC are sweating out this Friday and next Friday. And yes, AMC remains on the New York Stock Exchange list of threshold securities. What is that? 26 calendar days. But remember, the last time this happened in March, we got a tweet from Adam. Many of you and we are aware that AMC Entertainment has been on the threshold list for 3+ weeks, indicating a number of FTDs. Some of you may be pleased to learn that we have contacted both FINRA and the NYSE, asking that they both look closely at the trading of our stock. So I think we closed at $6 a share the day of that tweet. Now, this tweet from March 13th from Robert Moy reminded me that AMC went off the threshold list the night before the vote. So I'm thinking we may get a decision the day after we come off the threshold list. So I think we should continue to watch it. But according to Adam Aron, guys, don't believe everything you read on Twitter. Yes, it's true that we have a lot of short sellers who have sold our share short. But all that stuff you read about, market manipulation and fails to deliver and billions of synthetic shares out there, that's not our problem. And another tweet from Adam. Candidly, I've seen no evidence so-called fake or synthetic shares exist, but many of you disagree. This preferred equity dividend goes only to company-issued shares, so it will have the impact of a share count and unique dividend many of you have sought. Hashtag today we pounce. That was August 22nd. The closing price of APE that day, August 22nd, was also $6 per share. Guys, do you understand that if there are 3.8 million AMC shareholders that own an average of only 265 shares, that exceeds 1 billion shares? Do you understand that Adam himself has said publicly we own more than 90% of the float? And according to NASDAQ, institutions own over 25%. Direct quote, if you exclude index funds who have no choice but to own and hold AMC shares, individual retail investors would seem to own more than 90% of our officially issued 516 million shares as of today. Indeed, as it is often said about AMC on Twitter, retail owns the float. And we're going to pretend that synthetic shares don't exist in light of all this information. Apparently last night, Phil Ferrillo was freebasing energy drinks and pulled an all-nighter doing DD on an individual connected to the most recent lawsuit. I was alerted and watched the video. Then CSI woke up and issued a video in response. Then Phil put out another video and I was feeling kind of left out, so I wanted to remark on the exchange. I wanted to be clear that it doesn't matter if yes or no voters understood that AMC would be diluted. What matters is, was APE created legally? Is it legal to dilute shares of AMC by voting APE without a separate vote from AMC shareholders? I'm sorry, but it does matter if AMC colluded with Antara to secure the outcome of a shareholder vote. Here's a headline from J.D. Supra from April 18th. Delaware Court of Chancery refuses to lift the status quo order prior to a stockholder class action settlement being noticed, considered, and approved. Now, from the article, plaintiffs allege the board sought to, quote, neutralize and circumvent the voting rights of the common stockholders by 1. Issuing the company's outstanding AMC preferred equity units, or APE. 2. Entering into a deposit agreement to supercharge the voting power of the preferred stock relative to the Class A common stock via the proportional voting provision. 3. Selling hundreds of millions of APE to new investors. 4. Buying votes for the proposals through AMC's deal with Antara. And 5. Structuring the proposals to include a conversion of APEs into Class A shares on a one-for-one basis, which will result in a significant transfer of value from the Class A stockholders to the APE holders to financially incentivize APE holders to vote for the proposals. Now, you see, in my opinion, it doesn't matter if you understood what you were doing when you voted. All that should matter in court is, was it legal? Now, a lot of you are constantly yelling everything is frivolous, frivolous. Listen, I can give you an example of where this would not be considered a frivolous lawsuit. If you own 10,000 shares of AMC and you receive 10,000 shares of APE as a dividend and were fortunate enough to sell it at $10 a share, you may not necessarily want your stock diluted. You might want your vote to, be done separate from the APE shareholders. It's just something to consider. I want my fellow shareholders and YouTubers like Bigums, Phil Ferrillo, Boss Blunts, etc. to know the reason I resisted this deal and rejected the settlement is mainly because I don't trust these people anymore. Every time this guy says choke on this or today we pounce on that, I lose $5 a share. Now, this slide depicts the team that Adam Aron put together to handle the ape conversion, mass dilution, and reverse split, which resulted in the class action lawsuit in Delaware that we're all waiting to hear the final decision on, right? So let's start at the top with the leader of our board of directors, Philip Lader, senior advisor to Morgan Stanley Institutional Trading, with a daughter that's in senior management at Uniswap, where AMC tokenized securities were found to be trading. He hasn't bought a single share of AMC over the past 5 years, but sold out near the top. By the close of last year, Morgan Stanley had $123 billion in securities sold, yet not purchased. So I'm sure our little ape deal is far more important to Phil than that. And yes, I'm being sarcastic. Adam went out of his way to add Phil to the ape conversion pricing committee. And then there's Citi, our own investment banker, the actual underwriter of APE, a short seller of AMC, a company with a sell recommendation on AMC from this month with a price target of $1.65. As of the close of 2022, Citi had $183 billion in securities sold under agreements to repurchase. At this point, we should just hire Credit Suisse or Citadel to handle this deal. And then there's Antara Capital, the guys we gave ape to for 65 cents that sell 1 to 3 million ape per day. They're facing federal securities litigation seeking the return of its alleged short swing profits. The lawsuit filed by 2 AMC investors accuses the hedge fund, its affiliates, and founder, Himanshu Gulati, of making more than $20 million on sales of APE units and AMC common stock purchased less than 6 months earlier. Federal securities laws require corporate leaders and major stockholders to give such short swing profits back to the company, a rule meant to curb insider trading. Now, Antara was launched in 2018 with money from Blackstone. Those were the guys that back in 2015, along with KKR and TPG Capital, agreed to pay $325 million apiece, I think, to settle litigation alleging they colluded to keep leverage buyout prices low. Let me say that again. They colluded to keep leverage buyout prices low. Earlier this year, Blackstone admitted it was part of the SEC's texting sweep case. Last month, the law firm Scott & Scott is investigating whether members of Blackstone's board of directors or senior management failed to manage Blackstone in an acceptable manner, in breach of their fiduciary duties to Blackstone, and whether Blackstone and its shareholders suffered damages as a result. Antara is also listed as a current short seller of AMC, and many apes believe that Adam Aron may have colluded with Antara to rig the recent shareholder vote. What I'm trying to say is our enemies are not Adam's enemies. Guys, my bottom lines for right now is I don't trust these guys. I don't want a reverse split. And this tweet from Adam Aron makes me even more hesitant. From April 16th, in your comments, some fear that after a reverse split, short pressure could cause the price to go back down. But you neglect that it is every bit as easy to short a stock priced at 3 as it is on a stock priced at 30. I can't believe a CEO actually speaks that way. A reverse split itself has nothing to do with any subsequent prices afterwards. All right, yeah, no thanks, not buying it this time. Guys, we need to get out there this weekend and help blow out our top line revenue by seeing Barbie and Oppenheimer. Also, my current theory is if you see AMC drop off that threshold list, I believe the court's decision may happen the very next day if history repeats itself. Hey, I want to thank you for watching, and please remember to hit the like button after this slide if you enjoyed the presentation. Subscribe to the channel and set the alert so you're notified when I have new information to share. See you at the bell.